All right, so real quick before we get started, I have my man JG Smooth come on the podcast and talk. We haven't had a guest before on the show, but it's something I definitely want to continue doing with you guys as well. We want to get some subscribers on there, so subscribe to the podcast, leave a like. Just for the time being, this is what it'll be. You just have to subscribe to the show to be on it. Later on, we may get a Patreon started and things like that. But for right now, just subscribe to the show, leave a like. Let me know if you want to be on there. All right, cool. Let's get started. Back and better today, always improving on yesterday. Welcome to another episode of the Rip Jersey Podcast. I'm here with my man JG Smooth. We gotta try a new format out for you guys today, see how you guys like it. But man, we got a lot to talk about. The Vikings stunned the Bills and played the best game of the year. The Packers take out the Cowboys in dramatic fashion, and we got to talk about the Steelers, man. My man JG's a Steelers fan, so we got to talk about that. We'll see what you guys think. But hey, JG, man, what do you think, man? Who are your top four? When I came on this podcast today, I thought it was going to be the Eagles, Vikings, Cowboys, and Chiefs for me, but the Cowboys lose again too. So what's going on? Who you got in your top four right now, man?
Well, see, James, see, you made the mistake there of thinking Dallas was going to beat Aaron Rodgers. Okay? We look at history, Dallas never beats Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, much like he owns the Bears, he owns the Cowboys. So I do not have Dallas up there. I have Philly, I have Minnesota, I still have Buffalo because it was such a tough loss. I'm not going to just write them off because of it. And I have the Kansas City Chiefs, James. Who do you have?
That's pretty much my list, but I'm off on the Bills right now. I'm a Bills fan. That's who I ride with, but I'm off on the Bills right now. It doesn't look good for them, and I'll tell you why here with the first story of the day.
All right, let's go. Here's the first story of the day.
Losing sucks, right? Losing sucks. Josh Allen went up there on the press conference today and said those exact words after that terrible loss against the Vikings. I mean, it's hard to say it's a terrible loss because the Vikings are such a great team, and they have proven everybody wrong so far this season, only losing to the Eagles. What you think about that in the long term of the players they have and what they were bringing on to this season this year? But Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills have a problem right now. I said on the last podcast about the Bills, the biggest problem was Josh Allen was too much of their offense. They relied too much on Josh Allen. But now they have a second problem, JG. They got a second problem. The Bills can't seem to score in the second half, and that's the biggest issue so far. 3 straight games now, they haven't scored in the second half. Now, they were able to win against the Packers because they had such a good lead on them. They were able to beat the Packers. But these last 2 games against the Jets and the Vikings now, this is a problem. This is a problem that needs to be addressed, and I'm not sure why we seem to be sinking so far in the second half after such a great start to all these games. And if we can't win in the second half, we're not going to win a Super Bowl. That's for sure. They can't win a Super Bowl playing at this level, and that's the toughest part about this all because we've had so much misery over the years, the Bills. We've had so many memories and great situations, but you know, you think about the Kansas City Chiefs last year, the 13 seconds, losing that game. Every time you think this is going to be the year, this is going to be the year for them, they find ways to lose those games, seems like. They just find ways to lose them, and it's tough. It's tough. You would think this would be the year we thought it was going to be one of the best seasons of the year, like a perfect season. But they keep losing these games. The 3 games they've lost this year have been their own fault. They haven't been beaten yet just beaten outright by a team. They have these droughts in the second half that have just hurt the Bills overall. What do you think about that, JG? What's going on? What are your thoughts on the Bills so far this year?
Well. Now you mentioned they failed to score in the second half. Now I have to ask, well, because you are a Bills fan, are there any Texas Longhorns on that Bills roster? Is Steve Sarkisian the offensive coordinator? Because I feel like here, right? I think Texas has the same problem, right? So I think if you're the Bills here, and you're seeing the trend, you have to either figure out, okay, what are we doing either differently in the second half than we did in the first half, or on the flip side, are we just not adjusting as well as other teams are? Because like you mentioned before, you're scoring fine in the first half. So, I mean, you have success, you have playmakers clearly. but there's a disconnect there, and I don't know if they get away from what was working for them early on in games. I'm not entirely sure, but I do know unless they plan to score 40 points in the first half of football games, this is going to be a problem for them moving forward. Now, as far as you saying you thought it'd be an undefeated season, now James, I think we both know. Okay, with the Buffalo Bills history, we would have had a better odds of winning the lottery than the Bills would have had of going undefeated, sir. I think we just know this. You know, at some point, the bad luck was going to strike them again. So I don't know, but I think if they can figure that out, you know, that's why I still have them up there, because I still believe in them, right? Like it was a tough loss. Right, you could say they beat themselves. Right, they had the fumble. Was it at the goal line? The Minnesota recovered for a touchdown today.
See, that's the most heartbreaking thing to happen right now. First off, on the drive when the Vikings, I think, got down there to make that play, we had a chance. The Bills had a chance to knock the ball away on fourth down and like 18, and Justin Jefferson caught that pass. Why didn't the defender just swat the ball down? Why is he going after the interception? Why is he going after the interception to try to make that play? You got to knock that ball down so you can win the game.
Oh.
And so now you talk about, they make that boneheaded play, and then the defense comes up and stops them at the goal line, which is great. Why didn't the Bills? You want to get your yards? Go out of the shotgun. Just try to see what that's like. Because if you get a safety, it's only 2 points. There's only 2 points instead of giving up a touchdown because you're under center, which you never really are under center. So that exchange that everybody's talking about doesn't happen all the time. It rarely happens.
Okay, I get that, but now let's think about this logically, James. Okay, now if you poll all 32 NFL head coaches right now and you tell them, listen, from the 1 yard line, I want you to go shotgun and hand it off and risk there being a misprotection, someone shoots the gap, it's a safety, when I assume, right, that if you're QB1, you're going to practice that quarterback sneak at least a few times, I would say every week, especially on walkthroughs, right? So I would just think that's a safe call. Now, unfortunately, because they're the Bills, they fumbled the football, but I've seen personally covering when you run out of shotgun from the 1 yard line and you don't block and you get a safety. It's not good. So I don't hate the quarterback sneak. I just think you got to just execute the snap better. I mean, there's just no way around it, because why would you not have Josh Allen? The man's like 6'5", like 230, 240. Right? He falls forward, he's getting you like 2 yards.
I'd go out of shotgun. I'd do it. I don't like it. I don't like the defensive play to not intercept the pass. To not swat the ball down instead of intercept the pass. Try to do that, and Justin Jefferson eats you up for that. I don't like the play call to not kick the field goal earlier in the game that would have put you up 30-17. I think it would have been at that point. All that mattered at the end. I'm not an analytics guy anymore. I was on that train for a while. Take the points when they're there. Just take the points when they're there, because stuff like this happens, especially against teams like this. Now let's give props to the Vikings for what they've done. Let's give props to the Vikings. They now have 8-1 now. Kirk Cousins 5-game winning drives this year. I mean that's impressive for a guy that hasn't been a star caliber player in quite some time. To have that, and then you got on top of that with Justin Jefferson playing as well as he has, especially in this game where he ate us up 3rd and 4th downs, just continuing to be great on that offensive side. That's just too much for a lot of teams to handle, and they just keep finding ways to come back and win these games. They're the comeback kids as of right now, which is the most exciting and probably the most stressful for those Vikings fans out there at the same time for them to keep pulling this off. But they're off to 8-1 season, man. You can't really complain about that if you're a Vikings fan.
And you know what that is, though, right? I mean, you do know why they have the comebacks, right?
Why is that?
Yeah, it's very simple, because the man behind the center is in a cough contract year. And if you follow sports, you know what contract years do. You know people, this man might have, you look, I don't know, shit. Like a player might average 10 points a game. All of a sudden, it's a contract year. He's averaging 25 and 10. Like, where's that coming from? Oh, I don't know, because he wants to get paid, right? You look at Kirk Cousins. Is before the season, did anybody think Kirk Cousins is a quality NFL quarterback? No. You would say he's your average starting quarterback, right? He's
That's
good
quality.
to get you.
I give him quality. He's not winning you games by himself.
That's not a quality quarterback. But the quality quarterback, you got to be able to win games, though, James. He's not a game manager, but he's not a game winner. He's like that in between, and you don't pay a guy like that the money Minnesota was paying. So I just find it funny how all of a sudden, when it looked like he was going to be out the door here, Kirk Cousins is becoming John Elway. I just don't. There's a correlation here now. If I'm Minnesota, I ride this until the wheels fall off. But I do not invest a long-term contract in Kirk Cousins again. I just don't do it. Right. I don't. Right, listen, I forgot what the GM's name is. I feel like it's like Kofi, right? Do not fall for this, sir. I know you went to Ivy League. You're smarter than this. Do not fall for that.
All right. Well, Craig Joseph gets the game-winning 33-yard field goal in overtime. Josh Allen throws the pick to Patrick Patterson to end that game. Minnesota's off to their best record since 2009. So good things going for them so far this year. Let's get into the second thing.
Here's the second story of the day.
Now we got to talk about Dallas Cowboys and what we thought they were going into this game as well, because they've also disappointed us today. We talked about Dallas' defense a lot on this podcast. We talked about how great they were. They've only given up 20 points a game so far this season. And so we've always said if they just get 21 points on the offensive side, they can win those games. You had Cooper Rush running that offense for the beginning of the season, and he did a good job. He did it well. Dak Prescott got back, and the offense has kind of picked up steam, especially in the run game, because Dak Prescott opens up all those RPO options that Cooper Rush couldn't do at the time. But to lose to the Packers at this point in the season, I know it's the Packers, and you just think, oh, that's a good team, because that's what we've been ingrained to think for the last 20 years. They've been great on all those years so far, but this year they're not that. They came to this game on a 5-game losing streak, JG. A 5-game losing streak they came in on, and the Cowboys were riding high. They've been one of the best in the NFL. Obviously, we're in our top fours, debatable in our top fours so far. So you were expecting the Cowboys to play a lot better than they did in this one. What did you think about what happened and how they gave this game up at the very end?
I'm not surprised at all. Again, I go back to the fact here: Aaron Rodgers owns two teams. He owns the Chicago Bears and he owns the Dallas Cowboys. I said even during the bye week, wow, Dallas is not winning this football game. Now, it did look dicey for a minute there. I was like, you know what? Maybe Dallas is going to actually make me eat my words. And then what happens? Aaron Rodgers happens. They go to overtime. They win the ball game because that's just how Dallas is. If it's a meaningful football game, the Dallas Cowboys is going to fold more time than not. If you go into Lambeau, like you said, Green Bay's down, but you're able to finally beat Aaron Rodgers. Mike McCarthy gets his sweet revenge game win. All is well. But what happens? You have a 2-score lead, you blow it, you lose, and now everybody's like, here we go again. The same pretenders will score 40 against the Bears, and oh, wow, we're back to the glory days. And it's the same song and dance. So, I'm not surprised. To quote the late, great Dennis Green, the Cowboys are who I thought they were. This is not surprising to me here, James.
Wow, you're not surprised? That was the way the Cowboys have played so far this season?
I called this because there's some guys that just have a team's number, and Aaron Rodgers just has Dallas's number. Now, I'm sure if Jordan Love's back there, Dallas probably wins this game about 3 touchdowns. But because there's Aaron Rodgers back there, Dallas has to lose the football game.
Man, that's tough. That's tough. Aaron Rodgers is their kryptonite so far. So you're saying. Dak Prescott was 27 for 46 in this one. 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. 265 yards for him. I mean, that's something you would expect him to win that game. You would expect him to win when he's playing like that. Obviously, the turnovers are an issue.
Yeah, but they weren't his fault, though, because when I was watching the replays, a lot of it, like on the one in the red zone, I think Dalton Schultz didn't run his man off like he should have. And then on the CeeDee Lamb one, CeeDee Lamb didn't cut his route like he was supposed to. So I don't put those two on Dak. I think that was more so on the receivers. But yes, I agree. The 2 turnovers hurt, obviously, one in the red zone. You at least can get a field goal off that. They get the field goal. They still win the game by 3. So
I'm glad you're paying more attention. I'm glad you're paying more attention to it than most people. To be able to say that it wasn't really his fault. That's exactly where I was going to go with that coming up just right after you said that. It's exactly where I was going. The Cowboys, they just gotta find their rhythm again. They got to find their rhythm again. Whatever you say, they're cursed by Aaron Rodgers or whatever it is, they got to find their rhythm. Let's get into the next thing. Let's go to by the numbers.
Here's by the numbers. Number 5.
By the numbers, the Buccaneers beat the Seattle Seahawks 21-16. Tom Brady gets his guys back to 500. It was such a weird year seeing Tom Brady struggle, his team struggle throughout this season, everything that he's going through off the field. But to get this win is great for him. The numbers for him in this one were he was 22 for 29 for 258 yards. He had 2 touchdowns and 1 interception in the win. They beat the Geno Smith and the Seahawks. They were just trending upward. Geno Smith was looking like an MVP favorite for a while, but he had 22. He was 22 for 33 in this one, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns. But it wasn't enough to overcome the Buccaneers out there in Germany, playing with a crowd that was like treating it like a soccer game. They were singing and things like that. It looked like a great time out there.
Number 4.
The Chicago Bears continue to ruin the greatness of Justin Fields trying to do his best Lamar Jackson impression here. As they allowed the Detroit Lions to score 21 points in the fourth quarter en route to a 31-30 win. Justin Fields on the day, 167 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, but running for 147 yards and 2 scores on 13 carries. You just got a feel for Justin Fields here. Does everything that he can to will a woeful supporting cast to wins, and it just doesn't happen. On the flip side, you got to feel good for Lions. Dan Quinn's a great guy, a really easy guy to get behind. So I'm glad he was able to win. But if you're just a Bears fan here, you just got to be. You got to be asking a lot of questions right now, because how do you let the Lions, first of all, score 3 touchdowns in one game, let alone in one quarter?
And to add on to that, Justin Fields is the first quarterback in history with 100 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 2 passing touchdowns in a regular season game, and that they didn't win off of that one. That's a tough way to go out for him.
Number 3.
The Miami Dolphins beat the Cleveland Browns 39-17. I mean, the Dolphins, they look like one of the best teams in the NFL. They can be in that consideration, probably like 5 or 6 for us right now with Tua back. They don't seem to lose when Tua's on the field. Tua's playing outstanding this year, and he's done great so far. And in this game, he was 25 for 32 for 285 yards and 3 touchdowns in the win to beat Brissett, who's the standing-in quarterback at this point in time for the Browns. The Miami Dolphins, they're doing it. They're playing well so far this season. They're 7-3, and they're going forward. What you got for number 2?
Number 2,
we have the Arizona Cardinals riding the ship for at least a week, getting a win over the Rams. Both teams missing their starting quarterbacks. Which, if you're a Rams fan, I think you're fine with this loss. If you're a Cardinals fan, you're probably wondering how in the world does the offense look better with Colt McCoy back there and not millions of dollars man Kyler Murray. But Colt McCoy, 238 yards, 1 touchdown. They were able to sack John Wolford three times. James Conner leading the way for the Cardinals with 2 touchdowns. Cliff needs every win he can get at this point. So even though you beat a Rams team struggling right now without Matt Stafford, a win's a win. And does Cliff last the season? I think at this point would probably be the biggest storyline of the Cardinals, because it's sure not making the playoffs.
Number 1,
the Chiefs beat the Jaguars 27-17. Every time we talk about the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, he seems like he's doing something amazing, breaking records. Another great game for him today. 26 for 35 passing today. Had 331 yards, 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. JG, 4 touchdowns. Wow. Another impressive win for the Chiefs. The Chiefs look like the best in the AFC now, especially with the Bills going down. And Patrick Mahomes has cemented himself as the best quarterback in the league. I think so, because Josh Allen has continued to have struggles, like we said in the second half, and can't really argue for him anymore. Just as it is right now, he's going to have to find another way to go. Let's get into the next thing.
Here's the third story of the day.
Well, as James mentioned before in the opening here, I am a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan. It has hurt my soul this year to see the state of my Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, we knew it was going to be bad, right? Obviously, last year, I was glad we made the playoffs throwing 10-yard slants somehow and was able to send out Ben Roethlisberger on a high note. However, I've watched the Steelers twice this year. I watched them against the James Bills when they showed Kenny Pickett zero mercy, sacking him numerous times in that football game. I watched a few Sundays ago against the Dolphins where they just could not score. And so did I expect the Steelers coming off a week when Minkah Fitzpatrick had surgery? We're still down a bunch of corners. We traded Chase Claypool. Did I think we were going to win today's game against the Saints? No, I did not. And I'm glad that we did, because this is apparently Mike Tomlin's first win in 15 years against the Saints. So shout out to Mike Tomlin now becoming. Wow. He's now beat every team in the league. So that's huge. But if you're the Saints here, how do you lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers when you sack Kenny Pickett 6 times? You hold him to under 200 yards rushing. They do not throw for a single touchdown. And you lose the game. Like, I mean, I understand there's no more Drew Brees. I get Jameis is hurt, but like, did we just forget how to score the football? I mean, I know Sean Payton's gone, but I thought we kept the offensive coordinator. I thought we kept the system here. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the Saints.
Hey, I'm gonna share it with you then. I'm gonna share that disbelief with you. It is crazy when you read the stats and everything like that. But hey, this has been the Rip Jersey Podcast. I've been James D. Jackson. That's JG Smooth. We appreciate you for sticking around with us. Thanks for watching this video. If you made it this far, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, I have a podcast called Rip Jersey. Follow that, add it to your playlist. Listen to it wherever you can. Thanks for watching again. Peace.